The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I have not sprung for the Zone yet.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, coming up an hour from now, play a little Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. We'll also talk with Desiree Scott, midfielder for the KC Current, captain as well. So we're looking forward to those conversations. Right now, hanging out with us is Nate Bukaty. You know him from being the voice and the face of sporting and his side job that he does with the morning show in the Border Patrol from 6 to 10 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Is that on your? Is that how your resume, your business card?
All accurate.
Okay.
I think on social, you gotta prioritize what you claim here. So I think on social media, Fox soccer commentator.
My apologies.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Make it
Network
more
guy
official.
over here you're talking to.
Make it more official. That's right. That's a Fox network announcer.
Yeah.
You know, we don't typically get network announcers hanging out with us, so we feel honored to be able to do this. Yes,
you really should.
we do. So we have you in here because coming up on Sunday is the Big Steps race and the 10K, the 5K, the fun run that is taking place at KU Edwards campus. So a little bit more about it, and I will let people know as well. Like I got signed up yesterday for this.
Yeah.
So this isn't something to where if you haven't done it, you can't do it.
You're a day ahead of me, by the way. Yes. I still have not registered, but I will be doing so. Yeah.
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 Awesome.
You can go all the way up to race time. You don't.
That's cool.
We don't shut down registration online at all until the race starts.
Yep.
Yeah.
BIGGsteps.com is where you can go.
.org.
.org. Yeah, .org. Duh. Yeah,
.org.
.org. It's not .com. It's .org. I actually took .com just in case.
Sweet.
Just
Thank
in
you.
case. I didn't know what was going to happen. But you've been doing this for a while now. And how many years is this?
10 years is 10th and final. Yeah, this is the 10th and final.
10th and final. Why the final, I guess?
Well, because honestly, the board of directors that I work with, it's an incredible crew of people. J.P. Garrett's, who is we do this in honor of our friend Sean Biggs, who died of cancer 11 years ago now. And J.P. Garrett's was a college friend of his. Emily Burns Mitchell was a high school friend of his from Abilene, Kansas. Jill Clemens was a cousin of his. And then our other board member, Dave Gillick, who lives in Boston and runs our Boston race. We do a race in Boston every November. They all basically came to me and said, we think it's time. And so it's anybody that's ever put on a 5K or an event like that can tell you it's an incredible amount of work. And all the people I just mentioned have families, have full-time jobs, have spouses that have full-time jobs, and it's just the amount of work that went into it. I think 10 years has been a great run. We've accomplished a lot of the things that we want to. And we're going to keep the foundation going, and we're going to pivot towards other smaller events probably. The biggest priority going forward will be just to get the friends and family together to remember Sean and then raise a little bit of money. But we feel really good about the things we've done for 10 years raising money here. The race will continue to go in Boston. So if anybody ever wants to go to Boston for a race, you can head out there. But we're gonna go in a different direction after this year. So it's been a decade. It's gone by. It's crazy for me to think. Sean's kids were 5 and 6 years old when he died. They're both high schoolers now. Yeah. I just visited them in Chicago about a month ago and had a great time. I played tennis with Simran, their daughter, and then golf with Millen, their son, and it's crazy how much they've grown, but it's 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
When you're an old fart like me, you don't feel like you've changed that much in 10 years, although the pictures that I look at would beg to differ.
That's right.
My hair color has slightly altered, but for them, you know, they were little kids, and now they're like growing up, you know, they're high school kids. So, yeah, that's why we're doing this. This is the last one here in Kansas City, which makes it emotional. So hopefully we get a good turnout. We're hoping to really go out with a bang.
So how can people go and check it out? And then the different types of races, I think, also make sense. Because as I said, I'm getting signed up. The family isn't running a 10K.
No.
Okay, me, my wife, and the kids. Okay,
Yeah.
only because of Juliet. She's 3.5, and she's already said I'm not going to run the 10K. So we can't do it because of her. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You would have if you could have.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been
I got
training
my
for this for a while.
2.5-year-old doing the 10K for sure.
In a backpack, on your back, actually.
Boots.
And a jogging stroller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we always wanted this event to be something that was accessible to everybody. So we do have a 5K, we have a 10K, but we also have a 1 mile walk. And you can run it if you want to. Some people come out and run the 1 mile, but it's more like it's mostly families that are walking. We also have opportunities to volunteer. I will say this, my wife is the volunteer coordinator, and she is the person that by far does the most work the last couple of weeks leading up to the race, and she's already pretty much got everybody's roles assigned, so we don't really need volunteers at this point. But if you want to just come out and cheer for people, that's always, you never have too many people doing that. And just come out and kind of take in the festivities. We'll take you as well. And there also is a kids dash. So that's the most popular part of the entire event is we line up the kids, and it's like 40 yards, 80 yards, 100 yards, and we have them I think from like 3 to 6, and then 6 to 8. I can't remember exactly what the age groups are, but
can I do that one?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Josh.
Age, not maturity level.
Yeah.
I have about 100 yards in me. I think that's it.
Yeah. So the kids dash is really fun. We do that right before the race itself starts.
Awesome.
There's pancakes there. Those are for purchase. From Chris Cakes, and then we also have free Kona Ice. The awesome folks from Kona Ice donate their ice truck to the event every year, and
that's cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, I was going to ask you specifically about the Kids Dash because I know that Everett's going to want to do.
Oh,
so I was like, okay, so what's the Kids Dash? Is that separate from the actual race or the fun run with the family? Is it something is it like a bike race? Is it a foot race? Is it a wheelbarrow race? Is it a potato sack race?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
3-legged race.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just a regular race, just a short distance. But what's fun about it is we line it up the opposite way of the start-finish line. And so all of the runners gather around because they're getting ready to run the big race.
That's awesome.
So they get around and cheer for all the kids. In fact, a funny story, the first year we ever did it, my son Benny, so this was 10 years ago, he was about 3 years old. And he was in the youngest age group, and he was flying down the hill and in first place, far and away, going to win the youngest age group. And as he got close to the finish line, everybody was cheering and screaming for him to encourage him across the finish line. And it freaked him out, and he stopped and sat down 2 yards shy of the finish line and started crying.
Just roll.
He just thought everybody was yelling at him, and he didn't know why.
He's having flashbacks from what's going to happen an hour later at home.
This is like at home with Dad every night.
Why are there a bunch of daddies here yelling?
But it's really fun because the parents, the adults, the runners all cheer for the kids.
Oh my
and,
gosh, he's gonna love that.
And so it's really fun.
That's awesome. I didn't know all of that went on. And you know what? Jules is going to do it too. So I'll have her because she's 3.
And you don't have to be signed up to put your kids in the Kids Dash.
Oh, really?
You can sign up, if I remember correctly. You can sign up online for the Kids Dash to get a T-shirt if you want your kids to get a T-shirt. But in terms of participating in the Kids Dash, any kid that wants to can go out there and run in it. I mean, what are we here for? We're here for having a good time. So
no, that's awesome. No, I'm definitely looking forward to that, and he'll be looking forward to it as well. What's the KU motor car?
Yeah, so
or the Jayhawk motor car.
Yeah,
whatever
so
it is.
my friend Sean, we want to honor him, and actually one of the things I remember the first year after Sean died, I spent a lot of time talking to his wife, his parents, and his siblings about like if I started a foundation, what would you guys want it to be? What would you want it to be about? What would you want the money to go to? And his sister Bridget was very big on. We obviously give a lot of money to cancer research at the KU Cancer Center and Camp Kesem for kids who have lost parents to cancer. But her big thing was, Sean was this incredible guy, and I want to honor who he was. And cancer isn't who he was. That's just what he died from. He was a marathon runner. He ran the Boston Marathon 7 times, sub-3-hour Boston Marathons. He ran for the Boston Athletic Association, which is the most exclusive running club in the country anyway, while he was in grad school at MIT getting his master's in engineering.
As one does.
Yeah. I didn't know what MIT was when he came to tell me our senior year that he had got it accepted. I was like, oh, cool.
Found out through Goodwill Hunting.
Some kind of directional school? What is that? And so he was a very proud graduate of the engineering school at the University of Kansas and then went on to MIT. And he studied abroad in Stuttgart, Germany when he was in college. He spoke fluent German, too, just because he didn't have enough other stuff going for him. And so he really, when he came back from Stuttgart, he never stopped talking about it. And in fact, his dying wish when he was in the hospital and realized he wasn't coming out was he wanted a scholarship fund set up at the University of Kansas to send kids in the engineering school to study abroad. Most kids that go to engineering school don't ever think about studying abroad because they're so focused on the intensive coursework that they have, and he felt like it was the most formative part of his college experience. Going to another part of the world and seeing another way that people do things, and it really expanded his entire outlook on life. And so we have a scholarship fund as well. We give 3 kids a scholarship to help make it more affordable for them to go study abroad in the engineering school at KU, kids that wouldn't otherwise hopefully be able to afford it. And so we like to have that tie-in with the engineering school. And one of the programs that they have at the KU Engineering School is Jayhawk Motorsports. And there are kids in the engineering school that become a part of the Jayhawk Motorsports team, and they build a race car every year, and then they race it. One of the kids gets to drive it, and they take it around to different major universities, have the same program, and they race against one another. And they're not the full size Formula One cars, but they're those little ones that it's got the engine in it and everything, and they can fly. And so they build a new one every year. And so they'll bring a couple of them to the race every year, and they got the big Jayhawk Motorsports trailer that they pull up in, and it's got cool logos all around the side, and the kids can sit in the car and rev the engine up and all that stuff. So it's pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm more excited for Everett than for me. Like he's gonna love that too. He loves like sick cars.
Oh man,
So
my son's the same way. We're in that Drive to Survive show.
It sounds like a sick car. I haven't seen the Drive to Survive yet.
I highly recommend. Our whole family watches, and I've never been a race car guy at all, but it's just fantastic drama. They build it. They make you care about the people involved. It's really good. Really well done.
No, I've heard Soren talk about it, and Formula One is clearly blown up in popularity because of that show. So obviously, it's a good show. It's not just random people watching it. It's a lot of people watching it. So I do want to check that out and see. But he's going to be pumped to see the motorsports car that's there as well. Nate Bukaty is hanging out with us. Bigsteps.org, BIGG steps.org is where you can go and sign up, and it's the 10K, the 5K, the family fun run, all of that stuff as well. And there'll be the Kona Ice, and you said Chris Cakes will be out there. I saw face painting too, which is going to be something Juliet would be involved in.
Yeah, we always Sister Act is the name of the face painting group.
Awesome. Whoopi's going to be there.
Yeah, that's what's that?
Whoopi Goldberg's going to be there? That's awesome.
Yeah, it is a very fun event.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a celebration and a joyous occasion. And one of the things that is very impactful to me is how many different people I've met over the 10 years who didn't know Sean at all, but have heard me talk about the mission of the race on the air, and people who we've got a group of 25 people who are showing up because their wife / mom / sister died of cancer here this past year, and so they're running to honor her. Champ, the former intern for Sorrent Petro, now runs the board for that show. He ran it the second year. He was diagnosed with cancer the first year we did the race, and he heard me talking about it on the radio, and he said, if I beat cancer, I'm going to run that race. He's run it every year since.
Awesome.
So it's really cool to see that we've touched other people, not just, like I said, I've always wanted to honor Sean's legacy, but I think that's a great way to do it. And one really cool thing, if you don't mind, it started me down this journey, and I would, if you're listening to this right now and you've suffered some sort of horrible tragedy in your life, what I have learned through my journey with Sean is that the most beautiful things in my life, many of them have come out of the most horrible heartache that I've ever suffered. Because I haven't lost either of my parents yet or a sibling. And so this is the closest thing to losing somebody like that. I lost grandparents to cancer, but to be perfectly honest, they were old. They were in their 80s, and it just kind of felt like something was going to get them at that point. Not that I wasn't sad, but it didn't seem as devastating as losing a 36-year-old really close friend who had small children and an amazing wife and this beautiful future ahead of him. So that was the most devastating pain I've ever felt. And this whole foundation was a coping mechanism for me to manage that pain and find something positive to focus my energy on and to give it some purpose and meaning, because I just couldn't cope with the unfairness of this amazing guy having his life cut short and his kids being robbed of the opportunity to really get to know their father and all that. Man, I'm glad. I'm so glad that that was the outlet we chose for how to express our grief. It has repaid me 100 times over. And with relationships I've had with people, with experiences as moments I've had with my own children, like taking my son to Boston for the first time ever last year so he could run in the race. He took me to the most kick-ass skateboard park I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've been to Boston 15 times, didn't even know it existed. My son treated me to that moment as an outlet of this happening.
Yeah.
And one of those moments came this past, just a couple of months ago. We were trying to find out what to do with the money, and I reached out to the KU Cancer Center. Actually, Roy Jensen, who is the director of the KU Cancer Center, saw me speak about Sean one day at a Coaches versus Cancer event that we did for 810. And he approached me and said, if you have any questions about what your friend's going through, this was when Sean had just been diagnosed and was still alive, let me know. So I reached out to Roy Jensen with an email. And at first I thought, the president of a cancer center, how much time is he going to have for one random guy and questions? Every time I asked him, and I didn't really know much about cancer at all at that time. I didn't even really know what stage 4 meant. I didn't know if that was worse or if stage 1 was worse. And so I sent him a few questions. He got right back to me, answered all the questions. So when we were deciding to put together a foundation and trying to figure out where we wanted to put the money, I went back to him. And he told us, we would love for you to set up a genetic counseling program that we've had. So the KU Cancer Center, to be perfectly honest, was brutally underfunded and not a very good place back when my grandfather, for example, was treated there 30 years ago. About 20 years ago, when Dr. Jensen was brought in, his first goal was to make the KU Cancer Center a part of the National Cancer Institute, which means more access to grants and millions of dollars of money and things like that. They got that done. Right as we came online with Big Steps, the next step, this was 10 years ago, they were working on was becoming a comprehensive cancer center, which there are only 50 in the entire country. And in order to do that, you have to clear all these benchmarks to prove that you really are serving cancer from all angles for your entire community. And in Kansas City, that means people in western Kansas, people that can't afford treatment and all that. And one of the things they needed to build was a genetic counseling program. And they really wanted a community outreach that would actually get genetic counseling to people in the minority community who are at higher risk for cancer that weren't getting screened, and people who didn't have insurance that weren't getting screened. And that's what we fund at Big Steps.
Oh, wow.
It's a small drop in the bucket compared to everything the KU Cancer Centers had to do. They got rejected the first time they applied, and it was a year-long process to apply. They reapplied, and just about a month or two ago, they got approved. They are the newest comprehensive cancer center in the entire country, which will save thousands of lives in and around Kansas City, in our entire region. Thousands. And we played a small part in that. You know, our foundation played a small part in that, and they asked me to MC the celebration event at Children's Mercy Park. And when I spoke there that day, I said, you know, I've been here for 3 Cup championships and other great moments. This is the coolest moment I've ever been a part of at Children's Mercy Park because of the deep connection that we have. And my friend Sean's legacy is saving lives in Kansas City to this day. If you take whatever you're going through right now, whatever terrible tragedies, and we all suffer them. If you're listening right now, you have suffered them or you will. If you can invest yourself into something that gives it meaning, you will be so glad. You'll be like me 10 years down the road saying, this is one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. Outside of being a parent and a husband, I am prouder of what Big Steps has accomplished than anything I've ever done in my career or any individual stuff. And it's not because I deserve any credit, it's because of how much has come back to me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so I'm trying to say that to you if you're listening right now. It's changed the way I view life and death. I know, I used to really roll my eyes, honestly. I hate to say this, but I would roll my eyes when somebody would tell me about how a lost loved one was, and he's in me. When I go hang out with his kids, I see him in there. I mean, his DNA is in there, literally, you know. But there are so many different ways that I have enriched my relationship with him. I continue to get to know him. Every time the race comes back, we get around. My favorite part of it is we all get around, friends and family, and we tell stories about Sean. And every year I hear a story I'd never heard before about a guy that I thought I knew everything about and has been dead for 10 years. And so I continue to get to know him. He continues to help me do things in my life, and he's, helping save lives. So that's legit. Like, that's real. That's not some, thing I just tell myself to feel better. It really is what's happening.
And it's again, it's Big Steps, BIGG steps.org, where you can sign up and be a part of the race coming up on Sunday morning. 10K, 5K, family fun run. There'll be the kids dash as well. I think that's an under discussed and sort of overlooked aspect of some of these things, because anytime I hear like a race or a fundraiser or something like that, to me it's all about, or at least what we hear is all about, hey, this is the amount of money we raise for this, which is obviously important. We need the money because we still haven't defeated this. So the more money, the closer we get to being able to do this. The genetic research, that's able to be done at the KU campus in the Cancer Center.
Those are statistics, though.
Right, absolutely. It's the money. It's like, well, we've raised this amount and that amount. And honestly, one of the things I was going to ask you when I had you on was, looking over the 10 years, how much have you guys been able to raise? And honestly, I don't really even care anymore after like that matters, obviously, but it's so much more, and it's honestly something that I hadn't ever really given much weight or thought to until, you talk about it and talk about the what seem like ancillary things, but are really the most some of the most important things.
Okay, so let me tell you this story, and I know you'll probably have to go after this, but to me, this is the most impactful part of this whole thing. Okay, so 2011, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, my wife and I had just had our second kid. So we had like a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and or 2-year-old and a 1-year-old at the time, and we were at Deanna Rose farmstead.
Absolutely.
My phone rings, and my buddy Ruben, one of my best friends from college. My friends don't call me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. So I thought immediately something's wrong. And I thought it was something wrong with him or one of his kids or something. And, you cycle through all these terrible scenarios in your head. The last thing in the world I thought I would have heard that day was Sean Biggs has cancer. Like I said, the dude was running 60 miles a week, was a vegan, was like the healthiest guy I'd ever known. And so I remember just feeling numb, sitting in the parking lot while my wife took the 2 kids inside to play with all the animals and all that stuff. So that was right before I emceed this Coaches versus Cancer event. So I was going to MC the event, and I thought, well, I want to talk about my friend Sean because this is personal for me now. And so I texted Sean and said, what would you want me to tell everybody? And he said, well, look. And he told me when he talked to me, he said, look, don't look up stage 4 because you won't find any good news. There's no good news for me. But he said the good news is that they're coming up with treatments every day because of organizations like Coaches versus Cancer that give me a better shot than somebody who had cancer 5 years ago. And if I can hold on long enough, they might come up with a treatment that'll save my life or save somebody else's life who has the same diagnosis as me. Fast forward 5 years later, I had a group of about 9 really, really close friends from college. Another one of those guys, James Noble, who is from Derby, Kansas, who lives in Vancouver now, stage 4 melanoma. How in the world could 2 of my best friends from college, before we turned 50, have stage 4 cancer like this? I went up to visit him. He got approved by the medical system in Canada for something called immunotherapy, which did not exist 5 years earlier when Sean was diagnosed. Now, the therapy almost killed him. It was brutal. It's experimental. He was the second person in the entire country of Canada to get this treatment, so it was highly experimental. A year later, and he went through hell because it's a very hard process. A year later, I'm pulling up to daycare to pick up my 3rd son who hadn't been born. Back when Sean was alive, from daycare, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, James Noble is calling me. My heart sinks. I don't want to answer the phone. This is going to be terrible news. He's been battling stage 4 cancer for a year, and he's about to tell me that this is it. I pick up the phone because I know I have to. He's already in tears, I can tell, when he says, hey, do you have a second? And I just take a deep breath, and I'm like, here it comes. I'm cancer-free. I'm cancer-free. And he said to me, I mean, we both just sat on the phone and screamed at the top of our lungs for like 10
right,
minutes.
right.
You know, I remember screaming, "I love you so much," like 10 times, you know. And then he said, "It is not lost on me that my life is here when Sean didn't have the same chance because of the treatments that are available to me now that weren't then, and I'm going to get to watch my children grow up." He just texted me last night. He just had his next checkup, still cancer-free. Now it's been 2 years. He's coming to the race for the first time ever because he hasn't. I mean, it's hard to come from Vancouver to Kansas City.
Yeah.
But since he found out this is the last one, he's always told himself he was going to come do this for Sean, and he's coming and he's going to read the runner's prayer before the race. This story matters because every one of us knows at James Noble who's going to have a better chance if they get this devastating diagnosis to survive than my friend Sean did. And it's because of every little organization like Big Steps that goes out there and raises money for all of these amazing people like Dr. Jensen and all the people I've met at the KU Cancer Center who dedicate their lives to making the outcomes better for people. And just think about if it's just one person who gets to raise his children and whose children get to have their dad around because of the work we did. I mean, what better purpose could you serve? And it's going to be thousands just here in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's it's an amazing story. That is, I'm looking forward to meeting James.
There you go. He
on
has
Sunday.
zero pigment. The immunotherapy he did turned all of his hair like pure white, not even silver, pure white. His eyebrows and everything. He actually kind of looks like a badass villain from from like a Marvel Comics movie now or something like that. But dude, he's cancer free, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
he's gonna be down here, so yeah, it'll be great. You'll get to meet him.
Amazing story. Big Steps, BIGGsteps.org is where you can go and check out all the information. Do you have like 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Like
Yeah, let's do it.
literally 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
That's it. I know you've got some jujitsu to go to.
I do. I gotta get my ass
If you
kicked.
if you don't have it, that's fine. You can head out. But I did want to talk briefly on the other side of the break about the media game and Mr.
All right.
Irrelevant, whether it's you or me, and we can figure this out. And the fact that it's 3-on-1 right now, that you got 3 people, Team Heartland, and I'm Team Electric, the only one here.
You're so screwed, dude. We're gonna kill you guys.
It's gonna be, it's gonna be unbelievable. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
We'll see. We'll take a time out. More so next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So what we had planned for this segment, we got into Jack Bleep of what we were going to do here.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so Nate Bukaty hanging out with us for a quick segment here because we're going to talk with Desiree Scott. So we're all having as much fun as we can about the media game coming up tomorrow night. Last Thursday, while we were enjoying the 100-year celebration out at the Midland, there was a draft that was going on with the media members with the KC Current. And I didn't know this was happening, so maybe that's why I wasn't drafted early enough, at least in my mind. But also, Brisco and Beards were drafted earlier than I was as well. But it's interesting because, Nate's with us, and somehow we were the last two picks in the draft. So it's like, who's Mr. Irrelevant? Like, Nate was drafted by Team Heartland, and then Davey B, because he's got no other choice, has to take me on his. At least, Team Heartland had a choice between you and I, although we can listen to it because it doesn't sound like she had much of a choice.
I guess since there's nobody else left, I'm going to go with Nate Bukaty.
Nobody else left.
That means Mr. Irrelevant is Jason Anderson.
Oh, thought there was nobody else left.
I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, I don't exercise.
I sent out a tweet when I found out who the two team captains were and said, Brenda, please pick me. I don't want to play with Dave. So so I think that the way she looked at it was she had to take me.
Okay.
So I'm fine with you. If you want to take the title of Mr. Irrelevant, that's fine with me. But
feel
I think
like literally
it's obvious that we were the two last kids on the playground picked.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And plus Davey B at the end, he goes, well, he's one of the younger guys. One, I'm not. And he goes, but I don't think he exercises, which is also true. Yeah. But there aren't marathon runners that were drafted before me in this media draft. Again, present company included with Brisco and Beard. Sorry, guys, but let's be honest. It's called a spade a spade. They're drafted in front of me. It's like, well, Jason doesn't exercise. That's why he was Mr. Irrelevant. Oh, sorry about that. I haven't lifted a weight in a couple of years.
Impale you on the pitch tomorrow.
Bottom line is tremendous value on both picks. And you look. I am the most pathetic person when it comes to these media games and fantasy camps that I've got all of the trophies in our office for.
Good for you. Yeah.
And everyone makes fun of me for it. And here's the thing. This is the truth. Have I been running sprints this week to get ready for the game? Yes, I have. and is it pathetic that this is like my moment in the sun? Yeah, it is. But you know what? All I am is a nerd who wanted to be an athlete my entire life. And I capped out as a mediocre high school athlete. So whenever I get the opportunity to play a sport on a place like Children's Mercy Park in front of people, I don't care if it's against other fat nerds like you guys, I'm going to do everything I can to claim my moment in the sun. I'm sorry. It's just what it is.
I'm glad that you said that about your teammates.
You know what I have to say about that, Nate? Let's go, Heartland!
Let's
go, Heartland!
It's Team Electric all day, come on.
You're in so much trouble.
This is ridiculous. Oh, just because it's youth. It's not 3-on-1 when we get out there. It's going to be the same amount of players on the pitch, right? I think it's going to be more, teammates there.
It's literally going to be like 17 on 17 because they know that we're all out of shape and can't cover any ground.
Exactly right. I like the fact that there's 7 players on our team that cover soccer.
There you go.
I think that matters. I do think that matters because then they're around the game. They probably play the game. They enjoy the game. They understand how to play the game.
They've never had their hand in the dirt.
You've been to Chiefs training camp, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you really feel like there's a lot of real good football players up there?
I think they would know how to play the game as opposed to somebody who doesn't maybe, I don't know, participate much. You're not wrong about that. That's also a good point, okay? Very good counter, okay? Touche, sir.
I see a lot of 6, 7, and 8-second 40-yard dashes on both teams, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Oh, I can break off a 6. I think I could break off a 6 right now.
I will say that I might have overdone it with some of the sprinting because I've been having a Charlie horse in my calf, so I'm taking the day off. I'm going to ice down.
Yeah, well, you got to take the day off to get ready for tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I hadn't even thought about doing sprints or getting ready for it. I probably should have done that.
Stretching my hammies right now.
Because when I run up the stairs here at the beginning of the show, I'll sit down and go.
I'm going to tell you guys about this. If you don't know this is one thing about soccer that's absolutely true. You're like, 7.5 minutes. You'll feel like you're drowning 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
If you run even a little bit during a game. The field is big.
Yeah, 7.5 minutes is usually twice as long as I would need.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
Yeah.
to play soccer.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
That's what I'm going with. Yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be. I was told by Danny Welniak, she offered for me night. I said, it's yes or no. Did you get offered
No,
to do? Okay,
no.
very good. That's it. That's all I wanted to know.
Just give me a bigger chip on my shoulder. You don't want to
That's
see this man reliving his glory days with a chip on his shoulder. It's going to be bad news for you guys. I'm telling you.
All right, we'll
Jason
see.
wants the first touch. We want the last touch. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
It's
the last
going in.
touch because you're down.
Off
we don't
our
even
foot
care. It's
in
like
the goal.
we're
What
just
do you think? 5-0, 6-0.
You know what? We're gonna get up 1-0 and park the bus. That's what we're gonna with all 17s.
Hey, everybody coming to the game, bring a few extra hats. Just in case Nate gets going, I want you to have the opportunity to go ahead and decorate the field with them whenever we are decorating the field with the bodies of Team Electric.
Bring extra squid as well
carnage.
because you can throw those on
Bring
the
an
ice.
octopus.
Throw those on the ice as well because that'll be a lot of fun. Nate, thank you, man, for hanging out a little bit
guys.
longer, and I'll see you tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, and then Sunday as well. So
Sounds good.
Big Steps, biggsteps.org. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, guys.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and how about this? We'll talk with Desiree
A
Scott.
good soccer player?
Yeah.
A gold medal Olympian soccer player?
Right. We'll talk with her about the actual games
That makes a lot more
that are
sense.
going on. Although, I mean, I do want to get like a tip or two from her as to what
got
to
a
do,
tip
as
for
to
you.
how to take you out.
Stay home.
That's all it's going to be is how can I get away with a red card without actually being carded?
Stay in the stands where you belong.
That's
my
right.
tip.
I want the destroyer to help me out. We'll talk with Desiree Scott next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I thought we were taking shots at Anderson, man.
You're right. Let's get back on track.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We head up until 2 o'clock. Coming up on Friday night, you know, we've had some fun with the media game going on at halftime, but there was an actual game that's going to be played that night as well, as the Current taking on Angel City, 7 o'clock, Children's Mercy Park, trying to break the attendance record. I know my family will be in attendance there as well, hoping that the attendance record is broken tomorrow night. Joining us now, Captain Desiree Scott from the Current, midfielder, joining us here in the Zone. Desiree, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I am doing just fine. It kind of feels like there's been this lead-up, this build-up to tomorrow night. Can you feel it around the club of the trying to break the attendance record, that whether it's PR, ownership, front office, and people around the team trying to get this push for tomorrow night?
I think it's super exciting. You can really feel it throughout the city. You're seeing billboards going up. You're hearing people, excited for the game on Friday, and just you can feel a general buzz. We're really pushing for this 10,000 record on Friday, and I hope we're going to do it.
And you guys have 10-game unbeaten. It's not like you guys are playing poorly. It's a perfect time to go out there and watch you guys play, because 10-game unbeaten streak, which has just been some phenomenal soccer, and, going from where you guys were in the standings to fighting to getting in the spot you are, I mean, it has been a pretty incredible turnaround. What's this run been like as you guys just continue to keep it rolling?
No, it's incredible. I mean, 10 games unbeaten is a huge feat for us as a club, especially, coming off last season where we weren't where we wanted to be, to now seeing how we've grown through this 2022 season. It's been fantastic, and just a testament, to the players, to the coaching staff, who are just truly believing in who we are as a squad, who we want to become, and just doing that on the daily. And you're seeing that out on the field. We're producing a product. We're scoring goals. We're defensively, hard to break down. And we're hoping to continue that streak as we head on the field on Friday night.
And there's, because of the standings, it's like there's not an opportunity to come up for air right now. I mean, you guys have put yourself in this position, but it's so packed in there with, any one of 7, 8 squads, 9 squads that could be in the playoffs.
That's the beauty of this league. Every game truly matters. Every pass you make, every tackle, every goal you score, it really does count. So every weekend, it's an important match. So hopefully the fans come out, because we're going to need to feel their energy, and we're going up against a great team. So it's going to be a tough one.
The energy of soccer in the city has been pretty incredible to watch grow. Desiree Scott is our guest, Kansas City Current midfielder. And, you've been around the club, or at least the city, for a number of years. I mean, going back, 9 years ago in 2013, and back with the club again, and then back with the Current this time. We've talked about it around here, but going through it daily, sort of feeling it grow, it's kind of like watching a child, right? I mean, I've got a first grader, and I look back at pictures, and I'm like, how did he grow that much from a year? But people that haven't seen him are like, oh, my goodness, he's so big. I'm like, he's the same as when he was born. I don't know, he looks the same. I bring that up because you being in Kansas City and away and then back in Kansas City, can you feel the difference in what soccer is like in this city, and how it's sort of wrapped its arms around the sport?
Completely. I think, Kansas City early on was just a very sports sort of city with the Royals, the Chiefs, sporting, and now that we have us. And we truly just feel like we're supported and loved here as a team. And the more and more that people come out and support the way our owners are wanting to make such a professional environment, the way the crowd shows up day in and day out. I know some of the Blue Crew, the supporters from 2013, are in the stands now in 2022 as well. So you definitely feel see the sport growing, but also just the support we're getting from people in this city who are attaching themselves to the Current, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
And a month ago, this city gets awarded the World Cup. I mean, it's just, 9 years ago in 2013, I don't think Kansas City's getting the World Cup, but in 2022 they are, and it's just an idea of the growth that's gone on in this city, and how much the fans are liking soccer, and you're around it, and sort of the second home that gets awarded a World Cup, and you've played in a number of those. It's a huge deal to be in the position Kansas City's in right now.
Oh, it's massive. To host a World Cup like that is in your backyard is an incredible testament, to the commitment to the sport, to the love of the sport that the city shows. So I'm excited to have that come here, and it's a testament, to just the way Kansas City has shown up for soccer.
What's it like to play in a World Cup?
It's an unbelievable feat, especially as a soccer player. You know, that's the pinnacle event you want to go to. You know, you're playing FIFA on your PS4, and then you're actually playing in that tournament. And so it's truly incredible to go represent your country at a tournament like that. It's something truly special.
Midfielder for the current Desiree Scott is our guest. And while you've participated and been in different World Cups, you do have a gold medal in the Olympics. Take me through that experience of playing for country and coming away with a gold medal. A little more than a year ago at this time.
Yeah, we just actually had our 1-year anniversary where all the things were popping up on social media and happy 1 year, and it seems like it was just. Thank you so much.
$5.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, final hour here on a Thursday edition of The Zone, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's play a little sports or leisure. 913-3810810, open phone lines, first in, first on, to try to get $25 to Johnny's Tavern, the premier sports bar in Kansas City. Also, Lawrence and Topeka, 10 locations total. And you can go there with $25 from Johnny's Tavern by winning sports or leisure. Thank you to Desiree Scott. I appreciate what she was saying, which was essentially be violent. That's what I heard. Man and ball both do not pass you. One can go past you. Either the ball can get past you, but your man is not going to get past you. Or and that's exactly what's going to happen tomorrow night. Man and ball not passing me.
Do you remember Zinedine Zidane?
Oh,